Okay, so you just had a juicy conversation and I didn't hear about it, and I'm just curious, like, what did you get out of it, and like, what's going on?
Yeah, sure. So basically, what we were talking about was like, is it necessary to agree with somebody on
Hmm.
something in order to follow them, or in order to support them and support who they are?
Wow.
And my personal opinion was that it's not. Like, I don't need to agree with somebody in order to love them, to support them. And like an example for me is like my parents. Like, I don't necessarily have to agree with the way that they see life. I don't necessarily have to agree with their theology of life. I don't necessarily have to agree with what they think is right or wrong. But um, I'm clear that if my parents needed me in a time of struggle, that I would be there for them, and that I can still look at who they are and what they do, and who they're being in their life, and appreciate who they are and love who they are. And basically, I feel like sometimes people get so stuck on like, we have to think the same way as this person. You know,
Hmm.
like if we look at like the state of like religion in the world, um, like what causes like the reality that we have of like hundreds of thousands of like denominations and religions is that there's this idea that in order to like be a part of the same like community or group, I need to believe in exactly what this person is saying. If they say something that I think is wrong, that I need to get away from this group, and I need to find a place where I'm in a complete agreement with the people and with the leader.
Hmm.
And to me, that's like that goes off this false idea that we ever agree 100% with anybody, like, and that's even possible. You like, like there's this idea that like just because we're part of the same faith, the same religion, that we believe in the same thing, and that is just like, people think that's true, but that's not. Like, because we might be reading from the same scripture or the same book or listening to the same person talk, but the way that I'm receiving that and how what I'm getting from that is going to be different from the person sitting next to me. And the way that I interpret and the way that I apply that in my life is going to be different from that person. And so the idea that there ever was this sense of agreement, I think, is a total um is a total lie that people just like believe. And I think it stops people from like being with the people that they love. And that's why I felt like this was an important conversation to have, is that people love people, like people love their family, people love their friends, people love their community, and want to be with them. And then they have this thing that's stopping them from actually being with those people and loving those people. This thought that I need to like agree with this person in order to love them, that I
Hmm.
need to agree with them in order to be close to them. And I'm seeing this like this is happening on like a world level, but this is also happening on the level of just like one-on-one, like my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my friend. And this idea that like, yeah, this idea that like, if they don't agree with me, like this isn't going to work.
Hmm.
And to me, like, I understand it, and I know also what's possible when we let that go. And to me, that's what I'm so passionate about, is like, let's go for what's possible, let's go for what we're actually committed to, and focus on that, and do what it takes to get there, and to believe what it takes to get there.
Hmm.
Like, to me, that's the way I base my belief on, is this belief actually going to support me in my life and support what I'm committed to?
Hmm.
If it does, I hold on to it. If it doesn't, I throw it away.
Wow.
um and
Wow.
so for me, like, yeah, it's about having a priority of what I'm committed to versus what I believe.
Hmm.
And for so long, I feel like society, religion, um, there's just like, there's been a priority over what you believe versus what you're committed to.
Got it. Can you talk like a little bit about the difference? Like, what's the difference between a belief and like a commitment? Like, if you say, well, what if like, because when I hear that, I think some people might take it as it means the same thing. Like, my beliefs and my commitments are the same. And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
it sounds like they're two different things for you, and I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So for the way I see it is that a belief is about your perspective about the world out there,
Hmm.
right? It's a belief about a reality that goes beyond you, like a belief about a person. Like I believe, like I have a belief about who you are, David.
Hmm.
I have a belief that you're this awesome coach. I have a belief that you're an awesome friend, an awesome brother. Um, I have a belief that you're somebody who's really committed to big things in the world and making an impact for people. That's a belief that I have, but it's a belief about what's going on out there,
Interesting.
right?
Okay.
And something that I'm seeing. Whereas a commitment is something that's inside. It's a commitment about how I want to be in the world. It's a commitment about how I want to how I want to live my life. And it's a commitment to an idea and a vision that I hold inside my heart. A commitment that all people deserve to be happy, a commitment that a commitment in a belief that people like a commitment that people are good. Like it's something that I'm committed to making happen in the world, that
Hmm.
I'm committed to making happen in the world, not something that I'm seeing and interpreting and saying that this is what that means. Does that make sense? What I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm hearing that like your commitment is internal and really says more about you and what you value, and
Mm,
also what you're trying to create. And it's also like standing from a place of being responsible for you creating something from here out there, and that a
yeah.
belief is just like a judgment about the world out there, and it's actually disconnected from whatever's happening inside you. And then you're like dealing from a place of trying to change the world out there and then judging whether out there is the way it should be or the way it shouldn't be. It's like kind of
Yes.
wrapped
Yes.
up in like, this is how it is, but it should be this way, or this is how it is and it should be that way. And a commitment
Right.
is like just not concerned with how it is or how it should be, is more commitment like uh what am I committed to internally is kind of what I'm hearing.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And I think one of the things that stops us is this idea that we are right about our belief of what's out there,
Hmm.
right? And this idea that like, yeah, I want that, but this is what's so. This is like the truth, and like this idea that like, yeah, even though like, yeah, what you're saying is right. Like, yeah, we like I want to love people, and that's true, and like I'm committed to that, but this is what's happening, and like that's not right. And that like stops people from like just like being out there in the world the way that they want to be.
Hmm.
And I that upsets me. You know, that upsets me that like something like that could stop somebody from being like the person that they are in their heart, like the beauty that they are, the love that they are. Something so like in my mind so frivolous as like wanting to be right about what you believe.
Hmm. What are some of the reasons like why people get caught up in that?
Well, I think one of the things is that people build up a case for their beliefs over a long period of time,
Hmm.
and build up evidence for that. Um, like if we just for an example, like a certain theological way of looking at the world,
Right.
right? For example, like let's say like God exists, right? Or God doesn't exist, right? That's like a belief about the world and about reality,
Mm-hmm.
right? So let's take that example, and somebody who believes in God, like why do they believe in God? That's the question, right? They might say because I had this personal experience with God, right?
Mm-hmm.
They might say it's because of what it says in the Bible or the scriptures, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
it might be like because their parents taught them that way, or that's the culture they live in, the church that they live that they're part of. Um, it might be that they actually felt some physical sensation someday, and to them that meant that God existed,
Hmm.
right? And on the same on the same page is like the person who doesn't believe in God, and they're going by those same tests of what is reality, that personal experience, that the book told them so, that society told them so, this teacher that they really respected told them so, that,
Hmm.
they cannot see, hear, or taste God, that these physical senses are the tests that they're taking to logically say that God does not exist,
Okay.
right? And so that people have these, like, so many that have built this just mountain of evidence to say that this is right. And I think the thing that people miss out on is that if you actually dissect each and every one of those, like your personal experience,
Hmm.
the book that you read, the thing that your parents said, and if you ask yourself, if you ask that person the question, okay, so you had that experience, but did you ever have an experience in your past, and then the next time that a similar thing happened, what happened was different, like the outcome was different? So
Hmm.
does, like, your past experience necessarily determine the future outcome or the future reality?
Hmm.
People will say, okay, that's not like, not always. No, not always.
Hmm.
Right. And then the same thing you could say is, like, with your physical senses. Okay, have you ever felt something physically, seen something physically, but then later on realized that what you thought you saw was not actually what was happening?
Yeah.
And people will get like, yes, right? Yeah, that's not like 100% always accurate.
Hmm.
And if you keep dissecting and going through all of these evidences, all of the things that they've built up over time, what you're going to get is not a single one of these are 100% accurate, like
Hmm.
100% reliable test for what is real and what is actually going on in the world.
Hmm.
And I think people need to get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's huge, and like it's just making me think about like uh I guess the idea that people are always changing and that your beliefs are always changing based off of your
Mm,
experience, and also the
right.
sense of like what I intellectually believe and then what my actions say I believe about my life are also
Mm,
changing.
yeah.
Like I think I'm a religious person or a spiritual person. I believe that God like loves me and that God is everywhere. And I think that's
Mm,
kind of like an intellectual belief. But if I look at like how I feel in my life,
mm,
like if God is everywhere and God loves me, then there's like love everywhere around me. And
mm,
logically, I should feel loved all the
mm,
time. But
yeah.
if I look at my life, like there's a lot of moments where I don't feel loved all the time.
Mm,
And so I think it's like a difference between what I intellectually think I believe and also what my behavior says I believe. And
mm,
I'm noticing that they're changing actually. They constantly change. Because I had a time in my life where intellectually I don't know if like love is all around or even if like love is all I
mm,
need. I remember that being kind of like a dark period where I'm not sure what my beliefs were. And then
mm, mm,
also internally, I've experienced like my life changing where I'm starting to feel like, yeah, I really am like loved and supported and having more moments
mm,
like that.
mm,
And what I'm hearing you're saying is that actually both of them, the whole point is that they change. And
mm,
most people are just like fixed on one of them and like kind of fixed on an identity being unchanging and like fixed on their identity being a certain way and also fixed on the world being stuck a
mm,
certain way. And
mm,
it's more like an unwillingness to be with anything changing. Uh,
mm,
unless it's having the external world change their fixed mindset. And
mm,
yeah, and I guess I'm just thinking moments in my life where I've lived that way or like relationships where I'm
mm,
still living that way. So
mm.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just appreciating you sharing that.
Yeah, I got it. And I love what you said. And I love your honesty of really like being willing to look at that in your own life. Something that I really love about you, David, is that you're always willing to look again, you know. And I think that's so important and so beautiful. And one question that came up for me when you were speaking was, um, when you believe in God, when you believe that love is all around you,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like uplifted. I feel empowered. I guess my breathing's more full. I'm probably smiling or just feeling like there's less tension in my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, just feel like you can. I either feel like I can do anything, or I feel like I don't have to do anything. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's probably how I would describe it.
Yeah, I totally got it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful. And I want to ask you, like what's coming up is like, there's the question of what do I believe, and then there's the question of what do I want to believe,
Yeah.
and I want to know, like, what do you want to believe
Hmm.
about God, about love is everywhere? What do you want to believe about that?
That's interesting. What do I want to believe? Yeah, that's interesting. What do I want to believe? I mean, I think my beliefs are, I think what I guess the short and simple answer, like, yeah, I want to believe God is love and God loves me. But it's also like my understanding of what is God and what is love and what is me are changing, even in the what I want to believe. Uh,
Mm, mm, mm,
and so I guess what I would say now is that what I want to believe is that God and life or the universe and existence love me, and also like I'm not separate from any of that. Like I'm not
mm,
disconnected from from existence and the reality. And so this sense of like God loves me or existence loves me, but it's like I'm a part of it too. And so there's
mm,
it's like I love me. And when I say
mm,
I, it's just not like David, but it's almost like I feel like the universe inside of me saying I as well. And I think that's
mm,
more along where my belief is at, the sense of like connection and wholeness. And I would say that's what I want to believe. And also with a caveat that like that want to belief
mm,
is like evolving. Like there'll be
mm,
new experiences in my life, new things that I'll read, and that belief will continue to I think become more fine tuned with
mm,
like more in alignment with what works. You know,
yeah, yeah,
some
right.
other beliefs, if I try to live by them, they kind of like don't work. You know,
Mm, 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 mm,
so I've noticed that working more when I'm in that kind of state. More things work. Um,
mm.
and so
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's what I want to believe, I guess.
Right. Yeah, that was beautiful. I love that. And what I like, I feel like you answered kind of the question that I was going to ask you right after
Okay.
that,
Yeah.
which was so that's what you want to believe, and why? And so the question would be, why do you want to believe that? And what I heard you say is the reason why you want to believe that is because that works for you in your life and what you're committed to.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah. It's like it works for my life. And so I think, I guess a while because like I let go of holding on to a belief if it's not making something in my life work. Like,
Mm,
I don't know, I used to believe that my parents have to love me. And if
mm,
they didn't, or if I didn't experience that, like I get upset with my parents.
mm,
And so like then there became a new belief like my parents don't have to love me.
mm,
And it just like created like more space and more acceptance for
mm,
me being involved with my parents and related to them.
mm. Yeah.
And now there's like a space of like there isn't any kind of like have to or they don't have to. There's just like, I don't know, like when I think of my mom and my dad, it's like oh gosh, I love this quote. It's like after you've said all the bad things and all the good things, all the thing you've really not been saying is I love you. And
Mm,
my belief now with my parents is that I love you trumps this sense of you should be this way or it should be that way, or even you don't have to be this way or don't that way. There's just I love you, and that's not the end. That's the beginning. And
yeah.
starts at that place.
Mm,
And
yeah.
yeah, I would say it looks more like that when I think of the belief.
Yeah, I love that. I loved really how you kind of just took us through the journey of how that belief has evolved over time, right?
Yeah, it's like I couldn't stand the side of my parents. Like I thought they have to love me.
Yeah,
They didn't
right.
have to love me. Like they don't have to do that. It freed me up around my parents, but it also like made me feel alone. You know,
Mm,
and so there's a sense that like I'm not getting any love from my parents. And so like I remember actually a point of shifting was like actually my parents loved me as best that they could.
mm,
And really got
yeah.
and open up a whole world of like their parents loved them as best they could, whatever they knew what love was. Even if like, you know, maybe like my great grandfather, I don't know this, but maybe for him, love was just like making sure your offspring survived and that they knew how to
Mm,
survive. And so being harsh and being hard was love.
mm,
And and that's like the best that he knew at the time. And there's a sense that even for me and my children, I'm loving them to the best of my ability to understand what love is. And
mm,
so I think it kind of that belief opened up even more for me. And so I'm
mm,
like looking for like what's actually working. And I'm
mm,
kind of like I'm tired of trying to force my relationship with my parents to fit a belief. And instead it's more like I am, and I guess I'm not even like, I'm kind of tired of trying to force myself to believe my beliefs. And I'm more interested in like discovering life
mm.
and being
Yeah,
in the process of discovering what is life like. And so my beliefs are evolving as I'm discovering life.
yeah, yeah,
And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at.
yeah. I got it. Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm curious, like, in order to let that belief evolve, like not like forcing it to like forcing yourself to believe in a certain thing because you intellectually connected that that belief would work better. It's not about that, but it's about like creating a space in your life where that belief gets to evolve naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm wondering, like, what did you have to give up in order to create that space to make that evolution possible in your life?
I guess like I cared more about my relationship with my parents than I did about my beliefs about my relationship with my
Mhm.
parents.
Yeah,
And like
exactly.
I
Yeah.
cared about my relationship with myself more than like my beliefs of myself.
Mm,
And so it's like, yeah, I noticed like I'm miserable right now, and that's what I'm getting for holding on
mm,
to, onto this belief.
yeah.
And I think for a long time I thought like it's noble to suffer and be miserable while
Mm,
standing for a belief. And I think that I don't want to invalidate too. I think that there are moments where you really do need to stand for something.
sure.
And for me in that moment, there's a sense of I'm not standing for a belief. I'm throwing away my relationship.
Mm,
Like and throwing away and these like real people in my life.
mm,
Um, it kind of like seemed ridiculous to me after a while. Uh,
mm,
because it was like also my relationship with myself I was throwing away. And
mm,
collapsing or like I don't know, misunderstanding suffering for being noble or like martyring
mm,
myself,
yeah,
um,
I got it.
instead of really like trusting that um, that there is another kind of belief out there or that I can learn something new, and if I do discover something I'm getting closer to being more
Mm,
accurate or being more aligned or more workable. And there's a sense of like, gosh, almost like having faith, you know, like having faith
yeah.
that actually is something evolving.
Mm,
So I guess your question, like what I have to let go of, I think it's probably letting go of suffering.
mm,
A weird thing to say, but I liked it. I liked suffering. I liked like the sense of like working hard and like feeling like grit and pain
mm,
and like
mm,
real men suffer. And like if you really care about something, you're gonna suffer for it. And
yeah.
yeah, actually, I guess that's a huge belief that I had to let go of. Is like pain equals growth. But now there's
Mm,
more like you know you can actually just be letting things go, and life can actually just get more workable for you.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that like you had to let go of suffering, but not just let go of suffering, but there was something that you got from suffering.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be right. Definitely, yeah. You were
Yeah,
saying earlier, I got to
yeah,
be right about my beliefs for sure. Yeah,
right. You got to be right. Yeah,
totally.
and you had to let go of that and all of that in order to create that space. Because I think that's one of the things is that we don't get that as long as we have this fixation on this one way of thinking, this one way of believing, there's no space for evolution to happen, for something new to show up,
Yeah.
and just something new that could possibly make your life, you know, incredible. And what I'm also hearing is that what it took for you was like at some point deciding that your relationship and your experience in those relationships was more important than being right about that belief.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
also what I'm hearing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like a difficult point would be like, what if they're like my parents are doing something that I have like I don't believe in, and if I let go of that belief for the sake of my relationship, am I just like accepting that behavior? Or with anybody, it doesn't even just be my parents, it can be like anyone I really care about. And yeah, I think what I got out of it is like it didn't mean like I'm accepting the behavior, like I can still like not agree with a particular behavior,
Right.
but I can actually still like love people. And
Yeah.
it was just this weird thing of like getting like acceptance is really different from tolerance.
Mm.
Like I don't tolerate anybody's behavior. Like I'm really like I think there's a sense of integrity in myself, but it's like I have this like a newfound ability just to be with people and like it's not forcing them to change it. I actually just be with the person. Um, and I think what came up for me was that other people are also like changing and evolving, even if they're like fixated on something in the moment. Like even if my
Mm.
parents or this person's like stuck on a belief,
Mm.
also is going to be changing and evolving too. And
Mm.
so it's like giving other people the space to be discovering their own life, even if they are not using those words or they're not in that kind of place. So I think for me, being open to discovering things helped me to like see life more that way too.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Like when I stopped being stuck on being right, I could stop making other people wrong for being
Mhm.
stuck on their being right too. I guess that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, before I would just like judge people for being judgmental, you know? Like like
Mhm.
I'm evolved. I'm like I let go of being right, and
Right.
other people are are stupid because you're still doing it. It was like no, actually, I give them the same space too.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah. So
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying.
yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of people go through when they go through like a quote unquote enlightening experience,
Hmm.
right? Is like there's all of this, a sudden, this new experience of life. And it's very easy to look at the people who are still, in a sense, like trapped into that old experience of life
Yeah.
and just judge them for it. But like, then the question comes in, like, are we really in this new experience of life, or are we still actually like in that old place, you know? um, so that's just something that came up for me. And one of the things that really made a difference in my life was coming from a mindset of investment.
Oh, okay.
And because like, yeah, there are times in life when we experience that we want something to change out there,
Right.
right? Like maybe my wife will get frustrated at me for something, and I feel like that was not called for, and I want her to change.
Right.
You know, I want her to stop being frustrated all the time, and like that's the way she occurs to me. It's like frustrated. And while it's not like possible, what I learned is while it's not possible to change people, it's possible to invest in people.
Yeah.
And what a difference investment makes. It's kind of like um, this idea that like a farmer, uh, farmer cannot like rip up the ground and mold a plant,
Yeah.
right? Like force a plant to grow. But what a farmer can do is plant a seed, water it, invest into that plant, love it, give it sunlight, give it time, give it attention, and create a space where that plant can grow into something that's beautiful, that's something that's useful, that's lovely, that's something that can bring a joy to not only yourself, but that plant can experience like being its full self,
Yeah.
you know. And what I learned is like, yeah, like that idea that she's wrong and that she needs to change, that like being right about that really stopped me from having more of an investment mindset where like I want to invest into my wife's well-being so
Hmm.
that she can really blossom into the person that I believe God believes her to be,
Yeah.
you know. And that made a huge difference. And I remember having a conversation with her where I just told her, like, I want you to take care of yourself. Like she was frustrated about something, and I told her, like, it's not your fault that you're frustrated. Um, you're just like starving,
Hmm.
and it's natural when somebody's starving to lash out, to try to get something to eat. And I told her, like, what I want is like I want you to take care of yourself, and I want you to value yourself because I value you and I love you. And this really was like a different way of approaching this thing that was showing up in our relationship so many times, where like I was like, I because like I mean I for a long time I believed in investing in myself, in creating, in meditating in prayer so that I can have kind of a peace of mind in my life. And what would happen was I I noticed that I'm so at peace, and then all of a sudden she's like frustrated at me,
Hmm.
and then I would get frustrated, and I'd be like, oh my god, like, you know I was so at peace, like like it occurred like she was taking that away from me,
Right.
and it occurred to me like why do I have to deal with this, why do I have to put up with this,
Hmm.
and that was like the way that I handled that was just like frustration and upset and like wanting to distance myself from my wife when she was in that mood.
Hmm.
Like, I don't want to be with this. Um, and then when I had that more like an investment mindset of like, okay, what can I give? What can I give to like really allow her to blossom?
Hmm.
And and I asked her this question about taking care of herself, and I took responsibility for that. And I told her, like, I didn't give you the time to take care of yourself. That, like, you were taking care of our kid,
Yeah.
our son, and like I didn't give you that time. I didn't make that time available for you. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you 30 minutes every day where I'm just gonna take care of everything else. And I want you to, like, take care of yourself. And it was interesting. What she said to me was like, I don't know what that looks like. I
Mm.
don't know what taking care of myself looks like, what that means. And it just like really hit me like,
Mm.
oh man, she's been starving for this. And she just like hasn't had this in such a long time. And I just felt so much, in a sense, sadness for that, but also so much love. And I just told her, like, okay, and I gave her some suggestions, how about yoga, how about writing gratitude, and this and this. And she was like, yeah, okay, I could do that. And since then, we just made it a practice to have her take that time. And I could really see how she's blossomed from that. And it's such a beautiful experience. And I actually, like, it's amazing how, like, when we let go of, like, being right, we end up getting the thing that we always wanted,
Yeah.
and anyway, that's been just so beautiful for me, and something I'm so grateful for.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks, Justin. It sounds like beautiful.
Mm.
Um, yeah. I'm just like appreciating you sharing. I'm hearing how much you love your wife, and
Mm.
also like a gift that it was for her. And yeah, also getting the sense of like you experiencing like discovery and love inside of yourself versus like I need to be in a space called love and discovery and like don't mess up my space or like don't throw it off. And
Mm.
I think that's not where you're not talking about going somewhere and like taking care of your like going somewhere and putting yourself in a certain space. You're talking like generating something from within
Mm.
yourself that like
Yeah,
permeates.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for, like, getting that. Like, I didn't even, like, really, see that point, but it's such a valuable point that, I think a lot of time we have this belief that we need to get, like, that it takes time to go there. And maybe, like, that is often true, right? But again, it's not like 100%. Like, there's never 100% of, like, this is true. Like, this, I absolutely need this space.
Hmm.
And what I got was, like, in that moment, all it took was a breath.
Yeah.
Like, all it took was me, like, sitting and, like, just taking a deep breath, and, like, in that moment, like, getting my body, like, peaceful, getting my mind peaceful, quieting it down. And that made all the difference.
Wow.
you know and so yeah, I think that's a really good point that you brought up, is um I like, absolutely, it is important, though, to generate that space
Hmm.
where, like, new insights and new ways of thinking, new perspectives can show up. Like, and so, like, if that looks like taking 10 minutes where you're just, like, getting away from the situation and breathing,
Hmm.
like, I would totally say, like, yeah, go for it, like, do that. um it but like some people have it that, like, it takes like going on a mountain for 40 days to, like, deal with this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And, like, the question, like, is just like, but maybe not, you know and maybe, like, that's something that, like, you could just, if you really committed to that, maybe that's something that you could actually deal with, that, like, without having to separate from, like, what's going on in the world and in life. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, you're reminding me of like so I love meditation and like I'm
Mm.
super like a lot. Like I like a lot of
Mm.
meditation. Like
Yeah.
I was a
Yeah.
Buddhist nun. I'm sure I got like a bunch of meditation in my ancestry. So like if you were like Justin, uh if you're like, hey David, you want to go somewhere and like meditate for like 30 minutes with me? I'd be like, yes, that sounds more fun than grabbing lunch together. And it's like I love meditating. And like I'm just remembering, so I have an 8-year-old son, and I have these experiences with like I love to meditate a lot. And if I don't get my full like 30 minutes in, or like if I'm like really wanting to kill it, I'm like, I want a full hour or more in there. And I used to be dead set on getting my amount of time of like, I need the me time. If I don't get the amount of time of me time, I'm going to be upset. And it's like, I just like a belief I have about me. And so it's like, I'm sitting here meditating, trying to get into my Zen space. And then my 8-year-old's gonna walk in the door and he'll be like, I'm hungry. And I'll like turn and be like, what's wrong with you? You're throwing off my Zen, and like upset at him. And like, I'm just like in this space of peace, you know, like cultivating love and appreciation in myself. And then like the first thing I do is like, what's wrong with you? And just kind of getting like the irony of like I just noticed myself, and maybe like in the culture of like being peaceful or being spiritual, there's almost like an inability to be with like the messiness of life. I've almost noticed sometimes. And when I'm not so focused on trying to like I need some kind of external space to cause me to be a certain way. And then when someone affects that external space, I get upset at them. And they're both like external focuses. One is like, I'm going to this external space and that's giving me who I am, or like my son saying I'm hungry. Now he's giving me who I am. More like this space of like, I go into this space so that I can focus on me. And that's really the main thing I'm doing. It's like, I'm actually trying to change from the inside out, and spaces where it's easier for myself to do that. But I don't want to get caught up in the illusion that it's the external space that's doing the changing. It's more like putting myself in a context where it's easier to make the change from the inside out. But if I don't know it's really me and it has to be coming from me and the inside out, I'm always waiting on like, hey, I need the full 30 minutes. You interrupt me at like 27 minutes. I'm so upset with you. You threw off my Zen.
Right.
Versus like, you know, I acknowledge like that could happen in a minute, or that could happen in a breath. And like actually like turn to him and he's like, I'm hungry. And I can just turn and look at him. And then like, usually he has actually more to say about his day. And there's a sense of like, I can't be with other people if I'm not even willing to be with myself. And it's like, I have to go into some other kind of external space or environment just so I can be with myself. But the issue isn't the environment, it's that I'm unwilling to be with me. And when someone else comes in there, they make it even harder for me to be with me. And so I get upset with them. And yeah, what I'm hearing is that there's like a radical ability, like a radical acceptance, not just for you, but when you accept yourself really deeply, you also accept the rest of life and the people who are in your life. Yeah, not saying you're like someone's gonna punch you and you're just like, I feel radical acceptance for you, and like but the sense of like there is not a no to life or some kind of resentment towards life, because you can still move and act and be in a way that you're committed to, and what you create in your life. And you know, I have the ability to take stands for things, but to not, but to take them actually take a stand from a place of acceptance and love, versus taking a stand from a place of like resentment or like reaction, blame. That's kind of what I was hearing in your story, and that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, everything you said was just like so perfect. I loved it. And there's just so many places that I could like take what you said and like go in that direction, this direction. But I just wanted to clarify one thing, is that like not knocking like time to commit to like meditation, right?
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, I told my wife like I wanted to give you 30 minutes to do yoga. So obviously like I'm not against that, right?
Right.
It's more like there's got to be like a commitment to making it work in the situation when they arise. But sometimes what that looks like being committed to like having that work, is like being committed to those 30 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
Right. Knowing that like really makes a difference. Cause like for me, like I take, I've taken like at least an hour every morning to pray. For me, it's prayer. Meditation also, like for me, like prayer and meditation get really like kind of like in between, it mixed up. Like sometimes I'm like, I'll be praying for a moment and then I'm meditating the next. But for me, yeah, I have that like morning routine that like really gets me juiced, gets me like connected to my center, to my core, to my heart, to what I'm committed to, and committed to this core belief. Like I have this one core belief that has guided me to do like for everything that's like great in my life, and all of my strength comes from like this one core belief, and just connecting with that in the morning makes a difference in my day. So I'm definitely not knocking that. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Super, super curious about what that one core belief is, but yeah.
Yeah. I can talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, I'm curious about it. If you,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
No, I'll totally talk about it. I just, I know I could go on and on about it. So, I wanted to leave a little bit of space to, give you a response. But, for me, that core belief is, the core belief that I'm unconditionally loved by God. And, to me, like, while I've had this belief as a theological belief in my mind for a very long time,
Yeah.
but having it as an experience in my life, in my heart, was something that I felt in moments in my life, but never it's been a very only recently where I've actually been able to experience that on a consistent day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And for me, it was really it was confronting that there were things that I was ashamed of about my actions, about the way I was living my life, and confronting that I didn't want to come to God and test this out. Like, is God really still willing to love beyond these things that I felt so shameful of? This thought that I wasn't enough, that that I'm supposed to be this leader who makes a difference, and why am I working this 9-to-5 job that I'm just working to make money? I was looking at that kind of life that I was living, I was judging it, and I was so shameful about it, and I was just there was a part of me that I wasn't aware that this part existed, but for a long time there was this part of me that was this is unacceptable to God. The way that I'm living, the work that I have, the job that I'm doing, the way that my relationship is with my wife, how I act with my son. There was a long time where there was this belief that I wasn't aware was there, that all of that was unacceptable and unlovable. And I had a moment where I could just really be with God and just show this is how I feel. I feel so unlovable. I feel so so worthless, so such a disappointment. I felt like God had such high hopes for me and high expectations for me, and just believed in who I was, and I just felt like I was letting him down. And I really connected with, after I just said all that and just let God know exactly how I felt about that, I just really got God saying to me that I still love you, and I saw that, I was there with you when you were working, and when you were being that way with your wife, and when you were being that way with your son, and being that way with people, and I was with you in those moments, and there was not a moment while I was watching you do all those things that I didn't think that I loved this person. And I really experienced that. It's hard to say what that looked like, but it was something that happened inside my soul, inside my heart, where I got that that was what God wanted to say to me in that moment, and it hit me so hard. And now that is the core idea, belief that I connect with every single day, is that God is always there, always loving me exactly as I am, and exactly as I'm doing, and exactly with the circumstances that I have. God is there. And getting back to this whole thing about belief, I know that's a belief, and I know there's not 100% test of that's true, and I'm okay with that. And I love this belief, and this belief has helped me in my life, and this belief allows me to have the freedom, the passion, the connection that I've always wanted in my life. And there might be a day where I throw that belief away for something that's even deeper and even more special, and I'm okay with that. And the reason why I'm okay with that is because God still loves me. And even if like I'm wrong right now, like that's just like something so core to my heart.
Got
And
it.
you could call it an irrational belief, that
Interesting.
it's not something that I hold on to rationally. It's just something that's in my heart, and I cannot like get myself to deny it at this point, and there's no reason why I would ever want to deny it.
Hmm.
It's like been that useful, it's like been that helpful, it's been that powerful, that I wouldn't want to touch it.
Wow. So it's like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just like moved first of all, and I'm hearing like there's not this need to justify the belief so that you can believe it. There's more
Mm,
of a sense like look at what this belief gives me in my life,
mm,
and until I experience this belief not giving me any of these things in my life, why would I let it go? Why would I mess with it?
mm. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm hearing that it's like it's really in your body. Like it's not intellectual. It's something that your body believes, and that you're something
Mm,
that your body knows inside of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. um yeah, that's another realm, is like my physical experience of that, and that's so true, is that I'm physically experiencing that. Like that's causing me to, tear up as I talk about it. It causes me like physically to like just like get bigger, you know. Like
Yeah.
that belief is actually like having a physical expression in the world, which
Yeah.
is, who I am, and what you see right now, right?
Yeah.
um yeah.
Wow.
And kind of like one of the things that came up for me kind of earlier on in this conversation was like, it's important to know, like, what is the purpose of a belief?
Hmm.
Like, what is the purpose of, or you could say like, what is the purpose of truth?
Hmm.
Like, truth for the sake of being right about it, in my opinion, does not have a lot of value. But for example, if you're building a car,
Hmm.
there are certain things that you need to know in order to build that car,
Right.
like mechanics, um, like knowing that this part goes here, right? Like that's like certain kind of knowledge, belief, that if I put this here, that's going to work, and that's going to make this thing happen,
Right.
right? And like the way that that's like obvious to people, like, yeah, like I need to know that to build a car, but it's not obvious to people that like in this world of like spirituality and religion, that there actually could be, like, we could like create that there is a purpose to that, and that there's something where that truth, if it were truth, that it would head somewhere, it would be able to build and create something,
Hmm.
right? And like if people are not clear of what they want to create in their life, then I think that that hinders them from being clear about what they ought to believe, um, if that's something that they're committed to.
Hmm.
You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love what you're saying. And this sense of like, what's the purpose of like you pursuing truth? And yeah, I'm hearing that for you, it's really important to be like pursuing like creation, like truth
Mm,
serves creation.
mm,
And yeah, I've noticed like for me, like truth serves love.
mm,
And yeah, there's a sense like I love the pursuit of truth, and like I love philosophy. And there's a
mm,
sense of I like for things to make sense, you know?
mm. Yeah, sure. Right.
Um, and it's not like I like things to make sense because I like things to make sense. There's a sense of like truth is an expression of love for me.
Mm, 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 mm,
And like just like beauty and like intention are all like expressions of love. And it's
mm,
possible to have truth detached from love, and beauty detached from love, and intention detached
mm,
from love.
mm,
And I think that
mm.
actually when they spin off and like they're trying to serve themselves, they really like become destructive, you know,
Yeah, right.
like just,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The way what I heard was that like love love is like the compass, and then like truth is like you're following, like, I don't know, it's like the map, you know, it's like you're following that way.
Yeah.
And the truth is helping you get there to where that compass is pointing.
Mm-hmm.
And when you just like throw away the compass and all you have is like a map, you're just going around. You might think this way is north or that way is south, and like you're going to be lost.
Yeah.
And never get to where you want to be in life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think they're like a guiding compass, or almost like it's like the aiming, you know, before you shoot the bow. It's like I want to see my son, and he lives 6 hours away, and so I got to drive across town to do that. And so it's like my love for my son that drives me, and it's like my compass. And so in my pursuit of truth and like intellect, I need a car, and I need to know how to do that. And truth really helps answer the how question, and clarify like how it's going to work. And then you know, the love that I have for my son generates like emotions, and something that generates like missing him, longing for him, passion for him, and also like the sense of upset that I'm not seeing him right now. But they're all like anchored in that love for him, right? And I also want to be clear, love isn't an emotion here in that sense. It's just like the impulse that I have towards him, whereas emotions are like sensations on my body.
Yeah, right.
And then after, also from the love comes like this intention to actually like to go ahead and like find a car, rent a car, build a car, buy a car to go and see my son because I love him. And
right.
anchored in love, they all make sense, you know, and they're all clear. But without that love for my son, it's like, why am I even like learning about mechanics and trying to build a car, you know? Or like the intention is like has no purpose. Like my intention is to go ahead and get a car. Why? My intention is to go and figure out why. Without love, it's like it's kind of meaningless in that sense. And also like I'm feeling sad and upset and all these things. Like why? Well, it's kind of like with my son and wrapped around this, but like why? And what's missing underneath the why is like I love my son. And it's like love itself. And so I feel like having those things anchored in love, or I would call it like anchored in your heart, is really what drives.
Yeah. I got it. Thank you for what you said. Like it really got something clear for me. This idea of like why and how and what.
Yeah.
You know, like there's this talk of I forgot who gave this talk about like leadership, about like the why. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Simon Sinek, start with why.
Yeah. Exactly. You got it. Yeah. And that like really, I heard that from what you're talking. Like there's like the why of your love, and then there's like the how of like the truth. Kind of like you need to know like how to get there and how that works, and then there's like the what, which is like the result of all that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like what is at the core of that, you know, and knowing what is at the core is I feel like that's a distinction that's important. Is that like the why is like the why is at the core, and the how is after that, and then the what it comes after that. And it's just interesting how like that same perspective, the way that Simon talked about that in like a leadership perspective, and about how like successful businesses focus on the why, and businesses that don't last, you know, focus on the what and the how, but don't get to that why. And I feel like there's a shift that's going on in the world where like for so long, like humanity has focused on the how and the what. Yeah. And like we're living in an age right now where like the why is starting to really like show up as like important.
Right. No, I totally agree. Yeah, it's like in a sense like people's why, and like we're getting the opportunity for people to get to the core of why for a human being. And and my belief is that the why for a human being is love, and that the core of a human being is love. And so like it's like the same quote, like when you said all the good things and all the bad things and you've gone through everything else, and what you're really not saying at the end of the day to yourself, to other people, from your company is that I love you. And when you're separated from love, intellect, emotion, and will become destructive. I mean, emotion just becomes this drive to feel and look good to yourself, you know, and where like that looks like feeling sad, feeling happy, feeling joyful, and you just become this like completely at the effect of your emotions, and it's all about looking good emotionally. And if like your intellect or the pursuit of truth is detached from love, then all your intellect is just about being right. It's not even the pursuit of truth. It's the pursuit of being right, and they get like, you get wrapped up in that.
Yeah, yeah.
I think people can get like completely lost in intellect that way. And even will, like devoid of love, all you become is you just become about being justified in what you're doing and being justified in why and why this is the perfect thing to be doing, why everything else is unjustified or invalidated, and it becomes self-righteousness wrapped up in will. And so I think like the shadow side of intellect, emotion, and will, or emotion, intellect, and will, I say the shadow side of emotion is like looking good. The shadow side of intellect is being right. And the shadow side of will is being like self-righteous. And when they're anchored in love, they actually emotion becomes beauty. And when like intellect is anchored in love, it becomes truth. And when will is anchored in love, it becomes goodness. And without that, it's like they spiral and become self-destructive. They're anabolic behaviors, I think. Anabolic phenomena.
Right.
Of catabolic.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And it kind of brought to mind this idea of like the misconception of what it means to live by your heart.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's this idea that's out there of like living by your heart. And that's like getting into like popular culture. But like what most of the time, what that means is actually not living by your heart, but living by your emotions.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, because I feel this way, like I'm going to do that. And like, you just got to accept it. You know, it's like you just okay to feel that way. Oh, you feel depressed. Oh my gosh, you poor soul. You know, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's true. Like, yeah, you poor soul, but it's like this idea that like, you should just accept that that's how you feel and stay that way and be okay that it's that way. Like that does not lead to like anything good for you or for the person you're trying to help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally like resonating with everything you're saying. Like I think like people, what they do is there's like this sense of, I call like toxic authenticity. And there's this sense like, this is just how I feel, and I want to be genuine, and I want to be the real me. And then what people do is they take their emotions and turn it into their identity. And it runs their life. And there's a sense like, this is how I feel, but they're not really saying this is how I feel. They're saying this is who I am. Like this emotion is who I am. And emotion is just like a physical sensation across the body that passes through and leaves the body. And when you don't let an emotion pass through your body, it gets stuck in your body physically. And then you get attached to it and assume your identity to it. And now you're a fixed identity attached to an emotion. And not only is it emotionally unhealthy for you, physically, like it's not healthy for you because you're like emotionally constipated and saying that's who you are. And then and then what most people do is they take a thought and then also collapse that with their emotion on top of it. And so they say, I feel like blah, 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 or I feel that blah, blah, blah. But anytime you have a sentence and you say, I feel like, that's not a feeling, that's a thought. Like, I feel like you don't love me. That's not a feeling, that's a thought. Or like, I feel that I really need to just let this go right now. And so I'm gone, sorry. That's not a feeling, that's a thought. And both attached to either, and they can be equally toxic. And I think a healthy way of living life is like getting, I feel sad, period. And then let that pass through you. And like in my coaching modality, what I'll talk with people about is that when you're a fully open circuit in your body, feelings and emotions ideally go through your body in 90 seconds. They show up and they arise, they crest, and they pass. And in a period of calm, and then maybe another wave will rise up. But instead what most people do is they like repress emotions, or they just recycle them. They go from a feeling, I feel sad, and then I have a thought like my life is ruined, and I have that thought. And then that thought triggers more sadness, and then they feel it on their body, and that sadness triggers another thought, and then they recycle it, and it just builds. And so people either repress or recycle instead of just clearing emotion out of their body and clearing thoughts out of their body. And when it comes to like being authentic, I don't think that people ask, well, if I'm not my feelings, I'm not my thoughts. It's like, who are you? And what is my heart? And for me, the way I teach is that your heart and who you are is actually the proper relationship between your emotions, your intellect, and will anchored in love. And so it's not like you're not one static thing, but it's that when your emotions are serving your heart, when your intellect and your thoughts are serving your heart, and when your intention and your will are serving your heart, and it's flowing in a proper relationship to the rest of life or the universe or God, whatever you want to call that, that's who you are. But it's like, it's this weird concept that we have this idea that who I am is some static thing, but your body isn't even one solid thing either. Like your body is a complete harmony of several systems that are working together. And when we say like a healthy human being isn't like a lung, that's who you are. Who you are as a body is like, you're the healthy whole unit called this unity of different systems. And it's the same internally. Who you are in your soul or in your heart is the healthy harmony and relationship between your intellect, your emotion, and will centered on love or centered on, and that's what it really is. So when people want to get authentic, they say, how do I get authentic in life? And the idea is like, well, first take the time to calm yourself and allow your emotions to take their proper position in your life. Allow your thoughts to take the proper position, and even your will and your intention to take the proper position. And then what rises to the surface is genuine love. And then you can experience an emotion that's really pursuing beauty, intellect that's really pursuing truth, and will that's really pursuing goodness. And so it's just
I love that. Yeah, I want to like talk about that point about authenticity.
Yeah.
And about the the misconception of what that is, you know. And I think vulnerability also sometimes has a misconception around that, you know. This idea of just like talking about how you feel, right? But like that's included in what authenticity is, but it's not everything of what authenticity is. And it's like the very surface of what that looks like. And to me, like authenticity is about being open and expressing what is actually there.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like that feeling is not the only thing that's there. Like underneath that feeling, there is a commitment. There is something that you want. And a lot of times, like the reason why we're feeling that emotion is because we have an idea of what we want, and there's something that occurs, like it's stopping us.
Yeah.
And that gives us this sensation of frustration, of anger, of stress, right? But all we do is we talk about this thing that's blocking us, and we share that.
Yeah.
Or we share the feeling that we have about that, but we don't actually share like the thing that's actually like we're trying to get.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like just share like a really quick story, because it was just like something that happened really recently that like I really got this. And it was just a funny story, because I was with my wife, and I was feeling frustrated. Like I was like feeling upset. And the reason why I was feeling upset was that like we had this plan to go shopping.
Okay.
And she was getting ready, and we were getting ready to take the baby, and take our baby and everything. And then all of a sudden it starts raining. And then she was like, I don't know if we should go. And I got so frustrated, because I was like we spent like 15 minutes to like get ready to go, and like and now you're like saying like we're not gonna go, or we might not go. And I had to like think about, okay, why am I frustrated about like 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And what I got was that like I'm in a place in my life where I feel like I have a mission in my life. And that like every single moment in my life, I feel like I ought to be doing that mission. I want to be doing that mission. Yeah. And so like before like that wasn't like there for me. This mission was not like so clear to me, but now that it's so clear, it's like before I could have gone 15 minutes and it was just like, there wasn't a lot of value to 15 minutes, but now it's like 15 minutes. I could have been like transforming somebody's life in 15 minutes, you know? And it's like, that showed up as like, I'm so frustrated. And then another thing happened later on, but I kind of just like kept that in, but another thing happened later on when we came back from shopping, and she said, can you clean? And then I felt the frustration again. Like, yeah, this is not what I want to be doing with my time, like cleaning, you know, like, why don't we hire someone to do that, you know? and then she said, for 5 minutes. Yeah. And it was interesting because like, when she said that, it was like, okay, 5 minutes. I'm okay with that. And I cleaned. Yeah. But then I went back to her and I said to her, like, I felt really frustrated when you asked me to clean. And I told her that the reason why I feel that way is because I feel like I have a mission in my life now. And every single moment is like precious to me. And I feel like I want to be helping and serving somebody every single moment. And it occurred to me, like, when you said, to clean, that I wasn't going to be doing that.
Hmm.
And that was really frustrating for me. And I said, I'm not frustrated because of you. I'm frustrated because I feel like I have a mission, and it seemed like I was losing time for that.
Yeah.
And I was really clear with her, and she got that I wasn't directing my frustration at her. And then I just said to her, you know what would really help is if before you ask me to clean something, if you would put that 5 minutes before you say that and say, I need 5 minutes from you, can you clean? And it was just like, and my wife was like, oh yeah, I could do that. I could do that for you. And it was just like something we both laughed about, of like how simple that fix was, in a sense.
Yeah.
But that's what's possible when we become fully authentic,
Yeah.
because I could have just been frustrated and say like, why do you do this? And just like throw that frustration out at her, which is like what some of the culture is saying. That's what authenticity is, just like throwing that frustration out there and like destroying people's emotions, the people that we love, and like really like throwing our frustration out on them.
Yeah.
But like full authenticity again is like it's not just saying I'm frustrated, but why are you frustrated? Where's that frustration actually coming from? And being responsible for that, and then coming up with like what you really want and how to make that possible.
Yeah. That's an awesome story,
Yeah.
John. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna